You don't have to be loud to be powerful in a room. You don't have to speak perfectly to be heard deeply. You don't even have to be confident. To start connecting with others, all you need is presence, a little courage, and the willingness to show up as you are, because real community doesn't come from being impressive. It comes from being honest. You've probably felt it before, that moment when someone actually looks at you, listens to you. It makes you feel like you matter. That's what being part of a social community is really about. It's not just being seen, but being felt. It's being understood. We live in a world full of noise, but what we're really craving is connection. Not likes, not followers, not attention, but something real, someone real, somewhere you can just be yourself. You don't need to change who you are to connect. You just need to be where you are, fully present, open, willing to listen, willing to care, willing to grow, not for approval, but for alignment. You're not too quiet, not too awkward. You're not too late. You're ready. You're already someone people can connect with. You just have to trust that your presence matters, because it does. Even when you're unsure, even when you're nervous, even when you're new, what you bring is enough right here, right now. Just as you are, think about the best conversations you've ever had. It's the ones that made you feel lighter, the ones that made you feel heard. They probably didn't come from a perfect sentence or a rehearsed reply. They came from presence, from a shared moment, from someone truly being there with you. That's how real social communities are built. Not with noise, but with attention. Being social isn't about talking all the time. It's not about having all the answers. It's not about being the most interesting person in the group. It's about showing interest. In others, it's about giving your attention, like a gift. It's about saying, I see you, I hear you, I care, without needing anything. In return, that's what makes people feel safe. That's what makes people stay. Not your charm, not your style, but your sincerity. And the truth is, most people don't feel like they belong anywhere. They're showing up with quiet wounds, with doubts, with questions they're afraid to ask out loud. You can be the one who makes them feel welcome, not by being perfect, but by being kind. It's by being human. It's okay to not know what to say. It's okay to pause. It's okay to just smile and nod and let silence be enough, because silence isn't empty. It's full of presence. When your heart is open, you don't need a script to be social. You just need to be real. Being real is what makes connection powerful. So start where you are. Even if your voice shakes, even if your hands fidget, even if your heart races a little, because the community you're searching for starts the moment you stop hiding. Connection isn't something you wait for, it's something you create. One moment at a time, one question at a time, one act of care at a time. You don't have to build a huge network. You just have to start with one human being. Ask how someone's really doing. Stay long enough to hear the real answer. Not the, I'm fine. Not the everything's okay. But the truth underneath, even if it's quiet. Even if it's messy. Because when someone feels safe enough to be honest with you, that's when a social bond begins. That's where community starts. Not with numbers, but with moments. We think we need more followers. But what we need is more eye contact, more genuine attention, more patience for real conversation. It's okay to take your time. Real connection grows slowly. It's not through pressure, but through presence. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Not just what do you do, but what lights you up? What's been heavy lately? What are you looking forward to? People don't get asked those questions enough, and when they do, something opens in them, and they remember you for it, because it's rare, because it's human, because it feels like home. You don't need to be a leader to build community. You just need to lead with warmth. A small group, shared moment, safe space. That's all it takes to begin. Something powerful in you. I already have that power. Most people don't need advice. They need your presence. They don't need you to fix their problems. They just need you to stand beside them, without judgment, without rushing, without looking at your phone every few seconds. That's the kind of presence that builds trust. That's the kind of energy that builds community. Because when someone feels safe around you, they stop pretending. They open up, and they begin to feel like they belong. You might not notice it, but small things matter. Remembering their name, smiling when you see them, following up on something they said last week. These little actions, they speak louder than words. They say, I value you. I noticed, but you matter to me. And when someone feels that, they stay. They show up more often. They feel more confident to speak, to share, to help others too. That's how a quiet community becomes a strong one, not overnight, not with a viral post, but through consistent care. It doesn't matter if you're shy. It doesn't matter if you've made social mistakes before. We all have. What matters is that you're willing to grow, willing to try, willing to be kind. Every time you bring softness into a space, you give people room to breathe in that space you're creating. It's a space someone's been needing for a long time. Maybe the space you needed too, and now get to be that for someone else. There's something powerful about being the first to reach out, the first to wave, the first to message, first to say, hey, just checking in. Most people wait. They wait for someone else to speak, someone else to invite, someone else to care first. But what if you became the person who doesn't wait? What if you stopped needing permission to be kind, to be open, to be real? That's how community becomes alive. Not when everyone's performing, but when someone chooses to be brave. First, and yes, it might feel uncomfortable at first. You might wonder, do they even want to hear from me? Will I sound awkward? Am I bothering them? But let me tell you something. That message you almost didn't send. That small act of reaching out, it could be the one thing that turns someone's whole day around. You don't know what someone's going through. You don't know how much. They needed that little reminder that they're not invisible, that someone sees them, that someone still believes in them. You don't have to say the perfect thing. You just have to care enough to say something, and that effort, it echoes. It teaches people how to be soft again, reminds them that kindness still exists, and it gives them the courage to show up for someone else. That's how the circle grows. It starts with one brave heart, maybe yours sometimes. The most powerful thing you can do in a group is not speak louder, but listen deeper. People open up when they feel heard, not when they're interrupted, not when they're judged, but when someone simply listens all the way. So next time you're in a conversation, try this. Don't wait to reply. Wait to understand. Let their words settle. Let their emotions land. Let silence be safe again, because when you do that, something shifts. The energy changes. Walls begin to fall. People stop guarding their words. Start trusting their voice. You don't need to always have something smart to say, but you just need to give space for others to be real. And in that space, they'll remember you. Not because you fixed them, not because you gave them solutions, but because you were there, fully, gently, quietly. That's what makes you unforgettable. In a community, not how much you say, but how deeply you see. And the truth is, you don't have to be the most interesting person in the room. Just have to be the most present. That alone is enough to build a bond. Asterisk, because in a fast world,
Presents.
feels like a gift. And you can offer that gift every single day. You don't need a large group to feel connected. You don't need 100 friends. You just need a few honest ones. It's the kind who check in when it's quiet. A kind who stay even when you're not at your best. The kind who show up without needing a reason. That's community, not the numbers, not the popularity, not the applause. It's in the simple things. A shared moment, a deep laugh. And I get it look that says more than words ever could. We live in a time where everyone wants to be followed, but few know how to truly be there for someone.
Oh.
That's where you get to be different. You don't have to chase attention. You can give it freely, quietly, genuinely. And when you do, you become the anchor in someone's storm, the calm in their chaos, the voice that reminds them they're not alone. You don't have to be perfect at this. You're allowed to mess up. Say too little, say too much, feel nervous, but keep showing up.
Oh.
Keep choosing connection over comfort. Keep reaching out even if it feels scary. Because with every little effort, you're planting seeds. And those seeds, they grow into something beautiful, into belonging, to trust, into something that feels like home, and maybe. That's exactly what someone's been waiting for. Being. Social doesn't mean being loud. It means being available. Available to care. Available to listen. Available to show up. Even when it's uncomfortable, you don't need to change who you are. You just need to be more of who you already are, with courage. Because here's the truth. People don't connect with a performance. They connect with your presence, with your sincerity, with your quiet bravery. And sometimes that means being the one who stays, even when everyone else leaves. Being the one who reaches out even after rejection. Being the one who forgives, not because it was easy, but because connection matters more than pride. That's not weakness. That's strength. That's emotional maturity. That's what real community is built on. The ability to keep showing up, not just when it's convenient, but when it's needed most. You're not too sensitive. You're not too quiet. You're not too emotional. You are exactly the kind of person who makes a group feel safe, who makes a space feel warm, who makes a moment feel human. So don't try to harden yourself to fit in. The world has enough loud voices. What it needs more is grounded hearts, and yours is one of them. Keep leading with it. It's easy to feel invisible in a crowd, to be surrounded, not seen, to laugh but not be known, smile but still feel alone. That's why creating real connection matters, because someone out there is holding it all in. And you might be the only one who notices. Not because you said something perfect, but because you looked a little longer, stayed a little softer, listened a little deeper. You don't have to fix anyone's pain. But when you care, they feel less alone in it. And that's powerful. You never know what someone's carrying. Sometimes people don't show their hurt. They joke. They change the topic. They smile too quickly. But if you look past the surface, you might see the tired eyes, the pauses, the weight in their words. And in that moment, you get to choose. Do you move on, or do you lean in? You stay comfortable, or do you offer your presence? Sometimes one sentence can change everything. I'm here if you want to. Talk, or simply, I see you. It's not about having deep talks all the time. It's about being real when it counts. And when you show up like that, you build something more than friendship. You build trust. You build a place people return to, not because they have to, but because they want to. You become that kind of person, a safe one, a rare one, kind one. And in a world full of filters, that kind of realness stands out. You don't have to be everywhere to make a difference. Just have to be consistent. Somewhere, whether it's a small circle, quiet group, an online message thread. What matters isn't how big your reach is. What matters is how deep your presence goes. Real community isn't about going viral. It's about going inward. It's about showing up with intention. Even when no one's clapping, you may not get recognition. You may not get replies right away. But don't let that stop you, because someone is watching. Someone is learning from your consistency, from your kindness, from your quiet leadership. Keep being the one who responds with empathy. Keep being the one who stays honest when others pretend. Keep being the one who makes people feel safe enough to be human, because over time, people remember how you made them feel, not how many followers you had, not how polished your words were. They remember your energy, your presence, the way you made them feel seen without needing anything back. That's the root of every real community. It's not built on attention. It's built on care. You're not just joining a social space. You're shaping it. And every time you choose patience over pride, compassion over comparison, openness over opinion, you build something strong, something sacred, something that lasts. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You don't need to have the best stories. You don't need to lead every conversation. Sometimes the most valuable person in a space is the one who listens without interrupting, who notices without judging, who supports without needing credit. That's you. You don't have to change who you are to be social. You don't have to fake confidence. You don't have to push yourself to be someone you're not. True connection isn't built through performance, okay? It's built through permission. The permission to be real, to be imperfect, to be human, fully. And when you give that permission to yourself, you give it to others, to you, become the invitation. Not with your words, but with your energy. You make people feel like they can exhale, like they don't have to impress, like they can just show up as they are and still belong. And that feeling, that's rare. It's healing. That's the kind of community people remember and return to. So don't underestimate the power of being gentle. In a world of urgency, be calm. In a world of noise, be clear. In a world of performance, be present. You already carry the qualities that make a space. Feel safe, kindness, humility, awareness, warmth. You don't need to try harder. You just need to trust deeper in yourself and in the quiet power you bring to every room. There's something sacred about being understood, not just heard, but really understood. That's what people are searching for. Not followers, not fans, but someone who gets them. Someone who doesn't rush to judge. Someone who lets them be messy and real and human. You can be that person, not by having all the answers, but by being okay with not having them, by sitting in the unknown. With compassion, you don't need to fix their feelings. Just hold space for them. You don't need to cheer them up. Just stay present. Sometimes that's more healing than words ever could be, because community isn't built through noise. It's built through presence, through the quiet moments where someone realizes, I don't have to carry this alone anymore. That's when connection becomes something deeper. It's not just small talk, not just a shared interest, but a shared humanity. And that kind of connection doesn't require perfect English, doesn't require confidence all the time, doesn't require charisma. It just requires care, honest care. Right. The kind that sees past the surface. The kind that stays even when it's awkward. The kind that listens even when the other person goes quiet. That's how people learn to trust you. Not because you always say the right thing, but because you stay, you show up, you hold space, you remind them they matter. And in that quiet presence, you become unforgettable. Sometimes people don't say much, not because they have nothing to share, but because they don't feel safe yet. And that's okay. Silence doesn't always mean disconnection. Sometimes it's a sign that someone is still learning to trust, still figuring out if this space is really safe for their voice. That's why patience is powerful. That's why softness matters. You don't build community by forcing connection. You build it by creating safety. Slowly, gently. With grace, you might never know. It's a full story of what someone's been through, but your presence. This can be the first moment of healing they've had in a long time. You don't need to ask personal questions. You don't need to dig. You just need to stay open, to respond kindly when they do speak, to nod instead of correcting, to listen instead of rushing to relate. Because when someone feels truly listened to, they open. Bit by bit, layer by layer, moment by moment. And what grows between you is trust, is respect, is something real. You don't need to entertain. You don't need to impress. You don't need to be loud. You just need to keep being who you are with awareness, with empathy, with intention, and that is more than enough. You don't have to have the perfect past to create a meaningful community. You might have made social mistakes. You might have withdrawn. You might have said the wrong thing before, but here's the truth. Connection doesn't require perfection. It requires presence, growth, humility. Everyone you meet has been misunderstood before. Everyone you meet has felt excluded somewhere. Everyone you meet just wants to belong. And when you lead with that understanding, you stop needing to be impressive. You start becoming unplugged. Because connection doesn't happen when we pretend to have it all together. It happens when we let others see that we're still learning too. It's okay to say, I used to be shy. I'm still figuring this out. I don't always know the right words. That honesty, that vulnerability, it brings people closer to make space for their truth too. And before you know it, you're not just making conversation, you're making meaning. You're not just filling silence, you're filling hearts. You're not just being social, you're building something that lasts. So don't wait to feel ready. Start where you are, with what you have. With who you are, that's where real connection begins. Right here, right now. You might think you need a big personality to make friends, but what people actually remember is how you made them feel. Not the jokes you told, not the stories you shared, but the feeling of being accepted, being welcomed, being seen. You don't need to entertain people, you just need to include them. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is make room. Room for someone new. Room for someone quiet. Room for someone who's still learning how to belong. And making room doesn't mean giving up who you are. It means expanding your heart. It means noticing the ones who stand on the edges. The ones who wait before they speak. The ones who aren't sure they're invited until you invite them. You have that power to shift the energy of a space, to turn a cold room warm, to turn a quiet gathering into a moment someone remembers forever. And you don't need anything fancy to do it. Just presence, just kindness, just enough courage to be the first one to care. That's what builds real community. It's not just sharing laughs, but sharing space. Not just knowing people, but understanding them. And when people feel that kind of safety, they return to it. They protect it. They grow inside it. And that's the kind of space you're fully capable of creating. Sometimes, we think being social means being loud, being the life of the party, being the one everyone notices. But some of the strongest social bonds are built in quiet moments, over soft words, in gentle eye contact. Being social isn't about attention, it's about intention. It's about choosing to stay when the conversation goes quiet, choosing to ask one more question, choosing to listen, even when it's inconvenient. And the truth is, you don't need to be the loudest voice in the room. You just need to be the most sincere one. That sincerity stays with people. They remember it. They trust it. It's the reason they text you when things get hard. It's the reason they feel safe being honest around you. It's the reason they invite you into their world, not because you dazzled them, but because you understood them. And maybe that's what you've always longed for too. Not just a group to belong to, but a space where you don't have to perform, where you can simply breathe. And you can build that space. One moment at a time. It's one real interaction at a time. You don't need a title. You don't need permission. You just need to keep choosing connection over comfort, presence, over performance, and kindness. Over control. Because when you do, you don't just find community. You become one. Not everyone will understand your heart. Not everyone will match your energy. And that's okay. You don't need to connect with everyone. You just need to connect with the right ones. The ones who see your sincerity, who feel your presence, who value your effort even when it's small. Because real connection isn't about popularity. It's about alignment. It's about shared values, shared safety, shared silence even. You might only meet a few people in your life who really get you, but those few are enough. So don't waste energy trying to be liked by everyone. Focus on being real so the right ones can find you. When you stop forcing connection, something magical happens. You start attracting people who align with your truth, not your performance, not your mask, not your highlight reel, but the real you. And when someone sees the real you and still wants to stay, still wants to walk beside you, still wants to build with you, that's when you know it's real. That's when friendship turns into community. When presence turns into home, and that doesn't come from pushing. It comes from allowing, from opening. It's from trusting the flow of connection. You're not too much. You're not too little. You are enough exactly as you are, and the ones meant for you. Feel that. Sometimes we wait too long to say what we feel. We think, I'll tell them later. I don't want to seem too emotional. I don't want to make it awkward. But the truth is, later isn't promised. Kindness that's held back is kindness that's never felt. So say it. Say the thank you. Say the I'm proud of you. Say the I'm glad you're here. Because in a world full of noise, these soft words matter more than we realize. You don't need to write a long message. You don't need to explain everything. Sometimes just one sentence is enough. I appreciate you. I missed you. You make this space better. That kind of openness. It builds bonds. It deepens connection. It turns strangers into friends, friends into family. You have no idea who's waiting to hear those words. You have no idea who's feeling unseen. You have no idea what your little moment of truth might unlock in someone else. This is how real communities grow. Not through perfection, not through performance, but through simple honesty. So don't hold it in. Let people know what they mean to you. Don't wait until it's easy. Say it while it's still real, because that truth you're carrying, it might be the one thing that changes everything. Being part of a community doesn't mean you always agree. It doesn't mean you always feel understood. It means you choose to stay, even when things feel hard. Because connection isn't built through comfort. It's built through honesty, repair, through choosing people again and again. Even after conflict, there will be moments when you're misunderstood. Moments when words come out wrong. It's moments when silence feels safer than speaking up. And in those moments, you might wonder, is this worth it? Should I stay? Do they even care? But here's the truth. Every strong bond has been tested. Every meaningful relationship has survived something uncomfortable. the ones that last, are the ones where both sides stayed soft, even in the tension. You don't need to be perfect at communication. You just need to be willing to apologize, willing to listen, willing to learn. And when you do that, you model what? It means to grow together, not just be together. You show people that conflict isn't the end. It's a doorway. It's a chance to build trust, not break it. So when tension rises, don't run. Lean in. Breathe through it. Speak with care, because community isn't about avoiding misanthropes. It's about moving through it together. And you have the heart for that, the patience, the grace. You're not just building connection, you're building depth. You don't have to be the center of attention to make a difference in people's lives. In fact, some of the most powerful people in a community are the ones who stand just a little outside the spotlight. The quiet encouragers, the consistent supporters, the ones who show up even when no one's watching. That might be you. And if it is, don't underestimate the power of your presence. You might be the one who replies when someone's post goes unnoticed. You might be the one who remembers a name others forget. You might be the one who asks, "How are you?" Really. And those small acts, they change everything. They remind people they matter. Remind people they're not invisible. Remind people that connection doesn't have to be loud to be real. This world doesn't need more performance. It needs more presence. More people who genuinely care. More people who slow down. More people who notice. So if you've ever felt like you weren't social enough, let this be your reminder. Your softness is your superpower. Your quiet consistency is your strength. You don't have to be the loudest in the room to be the most remembered. You just have to be real and kind. And that is what makes you magnetic. That is what makes people trust you. That is how communities grow, one heart at a time. Sometimes the strongest people in the room aren't the ones speaking the most. They're the ones listening the deepest, holding space for others, even when they're carrying their own weight in silence. And maybe that's been you. Maybe you've been the one who checks in, but rarely gets checked on. It's the one who uplifts, but quietly fights your own battles. If that sounds familiar, let me say this clearly. You matter too. You deserve the same care you offer so freely. You deserve to be supported, to be asked about, to be held, because being social isn't just about giving energy. It's also about receiving it. You don't have to earn that right. You were born worthy of it. The strongest communities are the ones where care flows both ways, where the listener gets listened to, where the healer gets held, where the giver gets to rest. So if you've been carrying more than your share, pause, breathe, let someone in. Let someone hold space for you this time. That vulnerability, it's not weakness, it's honesty. It's honesty is what real connection is built on. You don't have to pour from an empty cup. It's okay to refill, to receive, to rest. Because in the end, you're not here just to carry others. You're here to be carried sometimes too. You don't have to change the whole world. Just have to change someone's moment. And sometimes that moment happens when you respond to a message. When you smile at a stranger, when you check in on a friend who's gone quiet, we underestimate how much impact we have simply by showing up, not with big speeches, not with perfect timing, but with presence. That's what people remember, not the things you bought them, not how impressive your life looked, but how they felt when they were with you. Safe, heard, understood, that's what you bring. Whether you realize it or not, you've probably already been that moment for someone who didn't say it out loud. And that's the thing about real impact. You won't always see it, but it's there in the way someone breathes easier around you, in the way someone opens up just a little, in the way someone says thank you. with more weight than usual. That's how you know. So don't think you're not doing enough. Just because you're not getting applause the quiet way you care, that's changing things. The steady way you show up, it's building something. And the honest way you love, even when you're tired, even when it's awkward. When no one's watching, that's what community is made of. You're not behind. You're not small. You're exactly where you need to be. Sometimes we think being social means doing more. More messages, more meetings, more time spent with more people. But real connection isn't about quantity. It's about quality. You don't need 100 conversations a week to feel close to someone. Sometimes, one deep check-in means more than all the small talk in the world. So don't chase connection by stretching yourself thin. Protect your energy. Nurture the bonds that nourish you. Remember, it's okay to go slow. It's okay to reply later with intention. It's okay to say no with kindness. It's okay to take space with honesty, because connection isn't something you force. It's something you build. With patience, with presence, with trust. And when you show up from a full heart, even just once in a while, it means something. It lands deeper. It stays longer. Speaks louder. So if you've ever felt like you're not doing enough socially, take a step back, breathe, and ask yourself, am I being real? Am I being kind? Am I being present? If the answer is yes, then you're doing just fine, better than fine. You're building real connection at your own pace, in your own way, and that's something worth protecting. Sometimes we think being social means doing more. More messages, more meetings, more time spent with more people. But real connection isn't about quantity. It's about quality. You don't need 100 conversations a week to feel close to someone. Sometimes one deep check-in means more than all the small talk in the world. So don't chase connection by stretching yourself thin. Protect your energy. Nurture the bonds that nourish you. And remember, it's okay to go slow. It's okay to reply later with intention. Okay to say no with kindness. It's okay to take space with honesty, because connection isn't something you force. It's something you build. With patience, with presence, with trust. And when you show up from a full heart, even just once in a while, it means something. It lands deeper, it stays longer, speaks louder. So if you've ever felt like you're not doing enough socially, take a step back, breathe, and ask yourself, am I being real? Am I being kind? Am I being present? If the answer is yes, then you're doing just fine, better than fine. You're building real connection at your own pace, in your own way, and that's something worth protecting. The world moves fast. Notifications, deadlines, noise, and sometimes in the middle of it all, we forget to slow down, not just with ourselves, but with the people around us. We rush conversations. We skim replies. We half listen while thinking of what to say next. But real connection lives in the slowness, in the pause, in the presence, in the choice to really see someone before responding, because people aren't just talking. They're revealing. They're reaching. They're hoping you'll hear the thing behind the words. And when you do, when you respond to the heart, not just the sentence, that's when something shifts. You create a moment, not just an exchange. You build trust, not just contact. And that kind of interaction, it doesn't just make people feel good. It makes them feel safe. Safe to be themselves. Safe to be honest. Safe to return again and again. Not because you gave the best advice, but because you gave your attention. And in today's world, that's rare. That's powerful. It's unforgettable. So don't underestimate what you offer just by being fully present, not busy, not perfect, just present. That's the energy that turns a conversation to connection. It's easy to think we need the right words, the perfect sentence. It's the most confident tone. But the truth is, people don't remember your grammar. They remember your warmth. They remember how you made them feel. If they felt judged, or if they felt safe. If they felt ignored, or if they felt seen. That's what makes someone want to open up. Not your vocabulary, not your accent, not your cleverness, but your energy. So don't wait until your English is perfect to connect. Don't hold back your heart just because you're still learning how to express it. Connection doesn't come from flawless speaking. It comes from honest intention. And that means you can build community right now, exactly where you are, with the words you already know, with the kindness you already carry. Don't hide behind fear. Don't let hesitation silence your truth. Even a simple, "How are you?" Even a soft, "I'm here for you." Even just sitting beside someone in silence. That's connection. That's community. That's real. So speak your heart, broken English and all. Smile even if you're nervous. Show up even if you feel shy, because what matters most isn't how you sound. It's how you care, and that, my friend, is your greatest strength. Some people won't get you. Some people might overlook you. That can hurt. But that doesn't mean you don't belong. It doesn't mean your voice is less important. It just means they weren't your people. Not everyone will match your energy. Not everyone will value your softness. Not everyone will see the strength it takes to keep showing up with kindness, even when you feel invisible. But someone will. Someone will notice how gently you listen. Someone will remember the way you smiled at them. Someone will feel safe around you without even knowing why, because your presence speaks louder than you think. You don't have to become louder to be respected. You don't have to pretend to. Be someone else to fit in. The right people, they won't just accept you. They'll celebrate you. It's not in a loud, performative way, but in a quiet, consistent way. And those are the people worth building community with. So don't dim your light just because someone else couldn't see it. Don't change your truth to fit someone else's comfort. Be real, be patient, be exactly who you are, and trust that the ones meant for you will find you, and when they do, they'll stay. You don't always need deep conversations to feel connected. Sometimes it's just about being there, sitting beside someone while they work, sending a short message that says thinking of you, sharing a funny video just because you know it'll make them smile. These tiny things, they add up. They tell someone, I see you, I care about you, you matter to me. And that feeling, it's rare, it's beautiful. It's healing because in a world that often rushes past us, being remembered feels like a gift. You don't have to fix anyone's problems. You don't have to always know what to say. You just have to stay consistent in your care, even when you're busy, even when you're tired, even when you feel unsure. Love isn't loud, it's loyal. Friendship isn't perfect. It's present, community doesn't demand. It includes in the smallest acts of kindness. Acts often become the biggest memories. So keep doing the little things. They're not little at all. They're what turns strangers into friends, and friends into family. There's something powerful about showing up when no one expects you to. Not for attention, not for praise. Just because your heart told you this matters. And that's what community is built on. Not convenience, not performance, but care. Real care. The kind that isn't loud, but it's steady. The kind that isn't posted online, but felt deeply in private. When someone's quiet, you check in. When someone celebrates, you cheer with them without jealousy. When someone breaks down, you sit with their pain, not trying to fix it, just staying. That kind of support doesn't always get noticed, but it's the kind that heals people. Because most people don't need big solutions. They just need to. No, they're not alone. They need to feel that even when life gets messy, they still belong. That's what you can offer. Without needing to be perfect, without needing a script, without needing more than what you already are. You showing up, it's enough. You caring quietly, it's rare. You being real. Again and again. That's what makes a difference. And the more you do that, the more you become the kind of person others feel safe around. That's how community grows. Heart to heart. One quiet act at a time. You don't need a big reason to reach out. You don't need a perfect moment to tell someone you miss them. You don't need an excuse to say, I'm thinking of you. Sometimes the most powerful connections are reignited by something as small as a message, and yet we hold back. We wait. We overthink. We assume they've moved on or that it's too late. But it's never too late to reconnect with someone who mattered to you. Never too late to remind someone they're still in your heart. Because what if they were waiting too? What if they were thinking of you but didn't know how to start? Could be the bridge. Could be the first step. And no, it won't always lead to a long conversation. Sometimes it's just a short moment. But that moment heals something. It says, you're remembered. You're still part of my story. I haven't forgotten you. And that's more than enough. So send the message. Make the call. Leave the voice note. Don't wait until the timing is perfect. Don't let pride or fear hold you back. Sometimes, love just needs a little courage to be felt again. Sometimes the people around you don't know how much you're carrying. Because they don't care. But because you carry it so quietly, you smile. You show up. You help others feel seen. And all the while, you're holding your own weight in silence. And that's why community matters. Not just for laughter. Just for celebration. But for those moments when you finally say, I'm tired. I need help. I can't hold this alone anymore. And someone answers, I've got you. That moment when you're no longer alone in your pain, that's what heals you. Not advice, not solutions, but presence. That doesn't ask you to explain. That doesn't rush you. It just sits beside you and says, you don't have to carry this by yourself. You deserve that. You deserve to be held the way you hold others. You deserve to be asked, how are you? Really? So if someone offers you that space, don't shrink away. Don't say, I'm fine when you're not. Let them see the real you, the tender. You, the tired you, because real connection starts where the mask ends. And in that honesty, you don't just find comfort, you find freedom. You don't always have to know what to say. Sometimes just showing up is enough, just being there. With your presence, with your energy, with your quiet support. Because when someone is hurting, they don't always need words. They need to feel that they're not alone. You might sit beside them in silence. You might offer a cup of tea. You might say something simple like, I'm not going anywhere. And that can be everything. Sometimes we think we need to solve, to explain, to give the right advice. But love isn't always about fixing. It's about staying. It's about witnessing. It's about holding space for someone else's story without trying to rewrite it. And when you do that, when you become the safe place for someone's truth, you offer them something rare. Safety, compassion, presence. Not everyone knows how to hold space like that, but you're learning. You're practicing. You're becoming the kind of person people feel safe around, not because you're perfect, but because you're present, and that kind of presence is worth more than any clever words. So even if you feel quiet, even if you feel unsure, even if all you have to give is your stillness, that's enough. You are enough. You know what's rare? Someone who truly listens, not someone who waits for their turn to talk, not someone who nods while checking their phone, but someone who actually listens with their heart, someone who pauses, looks into your eyes, and makes you feel like your words matter. That kind of listening, that's a gift, because we live in a world where most people are just trying to be heard but don't feel heard. So when you choose to really listen, to give someone your full presence, to say without words, "I'm here and I care," you offer something healing. And the best part, you don't need special training to do this. You just need to slow down, stop fixing, to stop rushing, stop assuming you already know, and instead be curious, be kind, be still. Let their story unfold in its own time. Let their truth arrive without pressure. Let them feel safe in your silence. Because when you become a good listener, you become a good friend, a good partner, good human. And in this noisy world, that is everything. So don't worry about having all the answers. Just be someone who listens with love. That's where connection begins. There's something beautiful. It's about people who make you feel lighter just by being around them, not because they're always cheerful. Not because they say the perfect things, but because they carry peace within them. And that peace becomes contagious. You've probably met someone like that. Someone who doesn't need to raise their voice to be heard. Someone who doesn't need to impress you to be respected. They just are. Calm, real, present, and maybe you're becoming that kind of person too. Not because life is always easy, but because you've learned that your energy is sacred. You've learned that protecting your peace isn't selfish, it's responsible. You've learned that you don't have to attend every argument, respond to every opinion, or match every mood. You can stay grounded. You can choose softness. You can stay kind, even in chaos. And when you do, you become the calm in someone else's storm. You become the one they remember. When everything felt heavy because you made it feel lighter, you don't need to be loud to lead. You don't need to be perfect to impact. You just need to keep showing up with peace in your presence and love in your heart. That's what creates real community, not drama, not noise, but quiet, grounded care, and you're already becoming. That sometimes building real community starts with just one brave moment. The moment you reach out. The moment you say, "Hey, I know we don't talk much, but I'm here if you ever need." The moment you leave a kind comment, or reply to someone's story, or simply say, "You matter to me." And that first step, it might feel small to you, but to someone else, it could mean everything. You never know what someone's going through. You never know who feels left out. You never know who's one kind word away from believing in themselves again. So take the risk. Be the one who starts the connection, even if it feels awkward. Even if you're not sure how they'll respond. Even if your hands shake a little when you type the words, do it anyway. Because connection isn't about waiting to be chosen.
Else it's
About choosing others over and over again. And the more you do it, the more it comes back to you. Not always from the same person. Not always in the same way. But it returns because love always does. So be the one who opens the door. Who sends the first message. Who gives without keeping score. That's how real communities are born. Not from perfection, but from brave. Human moments like that. There's a difference between being alone and feeling lonely. Sometimes you might be surrounded by people, but still feel invisible. Still feel like your heart is speaking and no one hears it. And that's a hard place to be. But let me remind you of something. You are not invisible. Your presence matters. Even when it feels like no one's looking, because there are people watching you quietly. Learning from your kindness. Feeling the warmth of your smile. And noticing the way you keep going even when it's hard. asterisk in somewhere. Out there, someone is grateful you exist. You may not know their name. You may never hear them say it, but your energy, your presence, your truth, it's making waves. So don't shrink yourself just because the room feels cold. Don't. Silence your voice just because no one claps right away. Keep being real. Keep being open. Keep offering your heart even if it trembles. Because connection isn't instant. It's built. And sometimes the people who are meant for you are still on their way, but they're coming. And when they arrive, they'll see you clearly. They'll feel like home. They'll remind you that you were never too much and never not enough. Just beautifully human. You don't have to be everything to everyone. You don't have to reply right away. You don't have to attend every gathering. You don't have to explain yourself each time you choose rest. Sometimes. The most powerful thing you can say is, I need space. Because space doesn't mean disconnection. It means protection. Of your peace. Of your energy. Of your inner voice. And the people who truly care, they'll understand. That, they won't take your silence as rejection. They'll take it as trust. Trust that you're taking care of yourself. Trust that the bond is strong enough to stretch without breaking. And that kind of trust, it's the foundation of real community, where you don't have to perform. You don't have to prove. You just have to be. So if you've been feeling drained, pulled in too many directions, like you're giving more than you have, pause, step back, breathe, and remember, you're allowed to set boundaries. You're allowed to protect your light, because a burned-out heart can't pour into others. But a nourished one, a rested one, that's where your true magic lives. You don't have to force connection. You don't have to chase it. You don't have to overthink every word just to feel included. The right people won't need you to perform. They'll just need you to show up as you are. Not louder. No. Not smarter. Not more put together. Just you. And that might feel scary. Because so much of the world teaches us to impress, to entertain, to hide the soft parts. But the truth is, it's your softness that makes you strong. It's your quiet moments that reveal the most. It's your gentle presence that makes others feel safe. So if you've ever felt like you don't quite belong, like you're always adjusting yourself to fit in, pause and ask yourself, do I want connection that requires me to shrink? Or do I want connection that allows me to breathe? Because real community, the kind that nourishes you, it won't ask you to dim your light. It will ask you to shine. To be real, to be honest. Even if your voice shakes, and when you give yourself permission to be seen fully, that's when you start attracting the people who are meant for you. Not because you tried harder, because you finally stopped hiding. You can't control how others receive you. You can only control how honestly you show up. Some people might misunderstand your quiet. Some might misread your kindness. Some might not see your heart because they're too busy protecting their own. And that's okay. Not everyone will see you clearly. Not everyone is meant to. But don't let that make you dim your truth. Don't let that convince you to be less loving, less open, less you. You're not here to convince people to value you. You're here to connect with the ones who already do, the ones who notice the little things, who feel the care behind your words, who don't need loudness to feel closeness. And sometimes those people show up quietly, in a shared moment, a soft smile, a message that simply says, I'm glad you're here. That's the kind of connection worth building. It's the kind of energy worth protecting. So keep being real. Keep being kind. Keep trusting your energy to guide you to the right spaces, the right people, the right community. Because when you honor who you are, you give others permission to do the same. And that's where the most beautiful relationships begin. In truth, in courage, in your quiet, honest presence. Sometimes you don't even realize how much your presence means to someone. You think you're just being supportive. You think you're just listening, just checking in, just showing up. But to them, you might be the only one who did, the only one who noticed, the only one who stayed, the only one who made them feel like they mattered. And that's something. We forget how powerful our small acts are. A message, a smile, a reminder. You're not alone. Long after the conversation ends. Long after the words are forgotten, because what people remember is how they felt around you. Did they feel judged or seen? Did they feel like a burden or like they were safe to be real? Your words carry weight, but your energy carries more. And the energy you bring, it's rooted in something deeper than language. It's rooted in care and empathy. You become a light in someone else's dark moment. And that matters more than you know. You don't need to have everything figured out to be part of something real. You don't need to be confident all the time. You don't need to speak perfectly. You don't need to know all the answers. You just need to be willing. Willing to show up. Willing to try. Willing to connect, even if your hands shake. Because connection doesn't require perfection. It requires presence. You can be unsure and still show up. You can be healing and still love. Deeply. You can be growing and still be worthy of being seen. So if you've been waiting till you feel ready to belong, stop waiting. You're already enough. Right here, right now, exactly as you are. And when you let yourself be seen in your becoming, you give others permission to do the same. You become a safe space for realness, for growth, for truth. Because the most beautiful communities aren't built by people who have it all together. They're built by people who are learning, who are open, who are trying together. So breathe, show up, and know this. You don't have to be perfect to belong. You just have to be willing to be real. There's a kind of magic in being understood. Not explained, not debated, not fixed, just understood. When someone hears your silence and knows it means you're tired, when someone reads your short reply and senses your heavy heart, when you don't have to spell everything out because they just get it, that kind of understanding is rare. It's not about saying the right thing. It's about feeling the right energy. And when you find that, hold it close, because so much of life is filled with moments where we pretend, where we say, I'm fine, even when we're not. But when someone looks you in the eyes and says, you don't have to be fine with me, that's when your guard drops. That's when your soul exhales. That's the power of community. Be the one who listens deeper, who notices. More, who creates space for others to be raw and honest. Because the more we allow each other to be human, the more healing we bring into this world. Resonant and cap-cut voiceover ready. You don't need a crowd to feel seen. You don't need 100 friends to feel supported sometimes. One real connection is more powerful than 1,000 shallow ones. One person who listens, one person who stays. One person who texts you back just to say, I'm thinking of you. Enough to shift your whole day. That's enough to remind you you matter. And maybe instead of trying to be everywhere for everyone, you could go deeper with the ones who truly see you. Maybe it's not about building wide, but building deep. Because the deepest communities aren't always the loudest. They're the ones that show up in quiet moments. In the background, in the mess, and you don't need to force that. You just need to be real, to reach out. Keep nurturing what feels honest. Some friendships are fast, some take years. But all of them start with presence. So be present, be kind, be consistent. You don't need many people. You just need the right ones. And slowly, beautiful things will grow. Sometimes we think we need to do more, say more, be more, to feel like we belong. But the truth is, you already belong. It's not because you've earned it. Not because you've performed for it, but because you're human. Because your story matters. And the moment you start honoring yourself, the moment you stop pretending to be okay when you're not, the moment you say, "This is who I am, and I'm still learning," that's when you start attracting the kind of community that lasts. People who won't need you to be perfect. People who meet you in the middle. People who grow with you, laugh with you, and even sit with you in silence when words are too heavy. That's what we're building. Not a fan base, not a trend, but something real, something that lasts. So if you're listening to this right now, let this be your reminder. You don't have to do this alone. Your voice matters. Keep showing up. Keep building the kind of space you wish someone had built for you, and little by little, that's how we all rise together. Asterisk, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening with your heart. If this episode touched something inside you, take a deep breath and carry that softness with you today. And if you're ready, leave a comment. Share this with someone who needs it, or just whisper to yourself, "I'm proud of how far I've come," because you should be. Until next time, stay kind, stay grounded. Keep becoming the community you were always searching for. You're not alone. You're part of this, and you always will be.